Collage Maker is a macOS Swift UI desktop app that assembles photo collages with vision-based saliency analysis. Here's how it works and how to quickly cobble together collages. I like how it used my cobble together directly. It's a good directive, I think. Hey everybody. I wanted to share an update about the Collage Maker I've been making. Here's a bunch of pictures of my dog. Let me click on the clear all button so we can start fresh. Here we are, looking at Bargabah, this picture of him. He had a very fun day at the park, visiting with other people while they had their party going on, and he could get balloons for his pictures. Here he is walking along the train tracks. I don't know if it's legal or not, but he was having fun. Here he is, visiting another dog. And you can move this around up here as well. Change the edges of it. And then you can take this title, you can change the size, change the background color on it. Make it a little bit more transparent. Then do the same thing with the title itself. Let's see if we can find... There we go. Shows up well right there. A little bit. Let's change it a little bit. We can also change the size. Let's give it a different Apple Chancery. Make it a little bit bigger now. Let's make Bargabah bold. Oh, it didn't do it. That's too bad. Maybe it doesn't have a bold version for Apple Chancery. It doesn't know how to handle that. That's okay. Change it to Gill Sans. There we go. Now it understands. But it doesn't underline things. Can make it bigger again. Let's put it up here. Let's make it a little bit more opaque. A little bit darker. Oh, very dark. There we go. This collage of my dog, Bargabah. Oh, what about this one? Perfect. Well, at least here in the hero style. I think if I click on uniform, everything changes again. Let's try this. Say reset crop. Okay. But there's also diagonal slices. And you can change the angle of the slice. You can find where Bargabah is again. Find the dog. I think I still need to work more on the click here. There he is. And the hexagonal, I think that's where we started. You can also change the background. You can give it more Bargabah. And then you can also add an overlay of Bargabah if you want. Make that more... Oh. I guess I need to give more options for this. Doesn't look like... Let's see what happens if I get rid of this one again. Ah, now you can see the overlay. If I export it now, send it as collage for Bargabah. There he is. This Collage Maker project, this is another thing. You can resize this, but it doesn't resize very well. You can see it jittering around. If you resize on the other side, there's a, I guess, Swift UI API that's automatically used. And I haven't figured out how to crack that nut yet. I've asked the AI a couple of times to work on that, and it's still like that right now. But There's room for improvement, and that's good. And it has been improving, and that's also good. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about how that's going. Down here at the bottom, I asked it how this project's working, and this is asking the agent world model that just recently came out. It's not really intended for this use case, but I like how it says that it predicts not only the next token, but also the next state of the system. So in my mind, it tells me that I could use this for theoretical QA work. So in addition to like a solid principles code review and a bug hunting diff review, there's also this idea of if we deployed this, how would it work kind of review. And I think that the worldview model can help with that. In this case, I just asked it to give us an overview of what this project is. Can you please examine the macOS project here in the Collage Maker and give us an overview of its functionality and how it could be used quickly to cobble together collages, kind of like we talked about a little bit ago. And this is what I thought about. Collage Maker is a macOS Swift UI desktop app that assembles photo collages with vision-based saliency analysis. Here's how it works and how to quickly cobble together collages. I like how it used my cobble together directly. It's a good directive, I think. So you import images, then you choose a layout style, do your cropping and positioning, customize with a background and a title. Oh, we didn't talk about the gutters. We did talk about the double exposure. That's that mask on top. Hex spacing. I guess this is not quite the same. It's probably hard to see. It's getting a little bit closer together and a little bit further apart there. If I switch it over to uniform, I can put space between them. I think that's true for this one as well. So that's what it's talking about there. See, it's already proving its worth. I forgot all about that. Export and undo. Let's see how much of the undo it remembers. So Command Z. Oh, look at that. It undid my title changes. That's nice. If I Command Y, no. Shift Command Z. Shift Command Z puts them back. I think that this is still happening back here. Yep. I need to work on the responsiveness of that. Doesn't seem very responsive, but maybe it's because it has to redraw everything. What else does it talk about there? How to quickly create one. Yep. The app uses Apple's Vision framework for saliency analysis, which can influence how images are composed, especially in double exposure overlay modes. While working on this project, we went through and we kept track of all the sessions that it took to get to this point. So there's been 140 sessions so far. And I also had OpenCode build an analysis tool to tell us what it's been working on and how many tokens. There's the skill in there, and if you use the OpenCode command tool itself, it'll give you access to the SQLite database on the backend, and it keeps track of sessions and token usage and things like that. So I used that to build into the LLM usage these reports. So if I look at this all-time report, I can see the Collage Maker from May 10th through June 28th took about 1 billion tokens at about 1 million tokens per session at almost 1,000 sessions to put together. And it says 9 models used. I think that might be true. I'm not sure why Qwen's listed twice here. Maybe it's between agents and it's not showing me the agent split. So there might be more work to do on how this HTML report's getting built. But you can see I started using Ornith recently, and I used Qwen 3 Coder next a little bit, but I was using it in comparison to, I think, the Qwen 3.5 27B. Let's see if that one got used in here. Nope. I guess I compared it to the Qwen 3.6 27B and decided that the Qwen 3.6 was doing better. But I recently got Ornith, and Ornith has been doing pretty good. I was using 35B, the active one here, for commits mostly, the 27B for planning agentic work. Eventually I introduced Gemma for, I think, the quantization aware training model. I think it's like a 4-bit model, but it knows that it's a 4-bit model and it's been trained or like had supervisor training at that bit level. And I chose to use this one because the other one blew up my memory all the time, the full version of it. And this one is still memory heavy compared to the Qwen models, but it helps for reviews. you can see that there's this diff review G31. What I would do is let the Qwen model run to plan and execute a plan, and then I would let the Gemma model review it, and then I would let the Qwen model address anything that the Gemma model reviewed. And that way, Gemma never had to look at the full set of stuff that the Qwen model had to look at to do the development. It just had to look at the end results and then say, there's weird things going on here. And I did try using a solid review agent similarly as a sub agent, but I found that using a skill and writing out review results was better, so I stopped using that sub agent. And I just recently started using this world review agent, which is tied to that agent world, or that world agent model, to do some of that kind of like theoretical memory leakage thought and things like that to report back on. Let me see if I've got an example of some of those reviews. Agent world performance perspective. So this one came from the World Agent. Let's read what this report's about. This review evaluates the Collage Maker project from a systems perspective, focusing on live responsive workflow for collage making, performance optimization for real-time updates, testing strategies to ensure responsiveness and performance, and user experience consideration for a live collage editing experience. It said that things were doing okay, and then it pointed out things where it looked like there could be memory leaks, or there could be slow operations. ON is the big O notation, meaning that this process, I guess the more things that it has to do, it'll take a linear amount of time to finish them, and it's better to get something that will finish in a known amount of time no matter how many items it needs to process. So it was pointing out issues like that. So that was good, because I was trying to find all those by hand and they would keep on cropping up in other places, so it helped to have a model that could kind of do a lot of that stuff for me. And here in the model agent breakdown, you can see that I did mostly make use of the 3.627b models, and the new models that I'm using, the Ornith, climbed very quickly. It's very good. And the 35b, it has been in use for doing the commit, so that's probably why it's so high up there. And then the Gemma, I'm kind of surprised that the Gemma's that far down, that it didn't have a higher presence elsewhere, but it's never really done a lot of agentic work. It's mainly done these reviews. And here's Agent World. Agent World is climbing up. It's got its uses, as far as I can tell. I don't know. And then daily token trends, you can see what's been input, output, and reasoning. And whenever I fed this to the OpenCode skill, the skill told me that I should turn on token caching. I have since turned on token caching for LM Studio here. And here's where I had my models outlined for this as well. We'll see what this looks like. I don't know if I'll keep working on this particular project much, but I do have an idea to try to make this Mac OS app, now that I have it in code and with all the specifications and learnings. I want to try to make it back into a web app that I could put on my website. I don't know exactly how the export part will work, but somebody could just build it and then like take a screenshot maybe. I don't know. We'll see if that turns out. So you can see that, I guess, the reasoning versus output. I'm not sure if that is an interesting measurement to look at. I'm really not sure what all the interesting measurements are to look at. Like, this gives a lot of statistics, and statistics are nice, but you can make statistics say anything. So I'm trying to figure out how to best get what's useful about this token usage out, you know? I think I turned titles off. That might be why this one has a title and the others don't. That's too bad. The titling, I don't know, it takes a lot of processing power to put a title on things. Code impact. This is where I was trying to perform some high-level analysis, or at least let the AI tools figure out what high-level analysis would mean. Looking at tokens and commits, there was 115 commits and almost 100,000 lines of code. On average, 8.2 million tokens per commit and 10,000 tokens per line added. And only 0.3% of it was reason. Aha! Reasoning was overrated the whole time. Here's the daily token breakdown. A lot of times it was really because of the way I had the commits, or not the commits, the way I have this common prompts laid out. It was very easy to come up with an idea and write it down, and then come back by and just cycle through, be like, okay, it's time to do this one, point it at this file, and it produced this file, so I'll copy paste that into here, and then I'll implement, and then I'll just run through the phases from the plan. Let's see what a plan looks like. Let's see what a long plan looks like. So here's phases. A lot of the plans would break down into phases. So it was easy to come through here and just say, all right, time for this phase, go make it now. And then after it was done, it wouldn't always finish. Sometimes it would get very far along and it would build up context of 140,000 tokens or something, and I would be like, stop what you're doing and then write out your project timeline. And then if you learned anything, go back and write down what you learned. That's how this folder got populated. And then turning around and saying, now that you've learned things, go plug those things into your skill. This is all about the idea of Kata. A kata typically refers to fundamental movements in Japanese martial arts, but can refer to any basic form, routine, or pattern of behavior. Recognizable patterns of behavior and clear expectations make it easy to recognize abnormalities and also serve as a basis of improvement, setting and attaining higher standards. In lean management, kata refers to two linked behaviors, improvement kata and coaching kata. Improvement kata and coaching kata were introduced. Well, okay. These people are important. If you would like to read about Mike Rother in Toyota Kata and Dr. Jeffrey Liker in the Toyota Way, Toyota sounds like the place for this. The idea that you're recognizing patterns and then you're learning from those patterns and then you're applying those patterns the next time that you approach that problem is what kata is. That's what building this skill is as well. If we look, we've got one skill that says this is how you build and refine skills, and we have another skill that says when you learn something for an exercise to put into a skill, capture the learnings this way. And then between those two and the resulting work that goes into building what you're trying to build, you end up with a large, let's see what this thing looks like. You end up with a big resource guide on how to do what it is that you're trying to do. The next time that you approach a problem and you need to make use of that same thing, you'll be able to make use of the skill that you've built to make it so that there's less discovery involved. And that's where this using our macOS skills for guidance suffix comes from in a lot of our common prompts. So I was trying to figure out what it means to say we're using a lot of tokens. What is that producing? This chart, it shows the tokens per commit per day. If there were 0 commits, I think it's just token use. And then I started doing commits. The number of tokens used per commit started going further down because it was getting affected by the number of commits and the number of lines. But I guess the number of lines of code were never by that. So let's see. I guess because no lines were ever committed until there were commits, I guess that's the first time that there were commits. And then the total tokens per line started taking effect. Not really sure. I don't know how to think about that. But this is all, I guess I wasn't doing commits regularly. And then I did start doing commits regularly. It says undefined there. I'll have to figure out why. Let's go down and see daily summary. So a little bit of reason. A whole lot of input. We'll see if that number of input goes down soon. That's what I wanted to share. If you think you want to put together a collage of your digital media, I hope you think of this Collage Maker project. It's free on GitHub as a Agent Olama experimental project. And I hope y'all have a good rest of your weekend. And I will talk to you later on.